You are watching Xirtus.
The MAHA thing's a little funny to me too, though, because Make America Great Again. Usually, if you take that to its logical conclusion, it usually refers to the greatest era. It's like post World War II. We're talking late 40s, early 50s, maybe early 60s. But Make America Healthy Again. If we rewind back to 1950s and 60s, isn't that just everybody's smoking inside now and everyone's putting DEET on their cereal before they eat it?
Right, but not necessarily. If you look at like the supersizers, like there's like an English show where they'll like do the same thing that guy did with McDonald's or whatever, but they'll do it with
become
eras.
A raging alcoholic and blame it on McDonald's. Is that
they'll take an era and they'll like eat and do the lifestyle like as though they lived in that era for a length of time. They go to the doctor at the beginning, they go to the doctor at the end. The 1970s episodes of Supersizers are kind of surprising at the end because they don't do a bunch of coke though. So everything but the coke, but including the alcohol and everything else, they're healthier afterwards.
So it's more like 70s.
Yeah, it's just like it's lifestyle stuff, including food and everything, and they're really using like the old products like as best as they can do to like mimic everything about it. And it's like, but I'm just saying like we have notions of like what we think is healthy, but like look at everything, all the crap that's leading to chronic disease now. So there's something to be said about. I just think it's an interesting synchronicity or whatever that like H comes after G and MAHA happens to mean great. Like if you look at like in Rosemary's Baby, there's a scene where like Cassavetes is like he's on some commercial for Yamaha, and like they take the shot that they have like of him in the commercial, like so like Mia Farrow like runs to the TV, she's like, oh, guy is on TV, and it's like it just says, it's like they cut off the first part of Yamaha, so it just says MAHA. So he's like standing there with like a sign that just says MAHA, and it's funny because Maharishi, Mia Farrow was just with Maharishi before filming began for Rosemary's Baby with the Beatles. So the Beatles were in Rishikesh with Maharishi. And then like, so people have pointed this out before, I'm not the first, that maybe the reason why it's cut that way is just to reference Maharishi. But it's interesting now, if you look at the implications and the timing in regards to Kennedy, because MAHA now is associated with Kennedy. So it's just like, you know, in the trajectory of time, like it's kind of trippy. Yeah.
If we extrapolate that, does that mean the next movement is Maia?
Because it can continue one letter and from the E to the H to the I.
I. So then the next one is
America.
I dig it.
Independent again. Independent of bankers. Maia.
Independent again. That would work. That's going to be the future. That's probably what it is. Come to 2028, it's going to be all Maia, and it's going to be about independent again because we're going to be part of like the English. We're going to connect into the.
Yeah, what was Trump like? We're going to be part of the Commonwealth again.
Yeah, the Commonwealth thing. So we'll make America independent again because we'll be part of the Commonwealth.
That's not what we were headed towards. Trump has really gone back on those promises of trying to get us to join the Brits again.
Right. I mean, you know that it's just 5D chess, but or you know,
everything that comes out of his mouth is just like fodder to be consumed and freaked out about by everybody.
I have to wait until things happen now because you can't if you just react to everything right away, you're just going to go completely insane. You know, Thomas and I have been discussing this repeatedly because I can't, like, especially like doing this podcast, it's a weekly podcast. Like if I take too strong of a position on something, it could be completely irrelevant within hours or a day or a week. So
it's crazy because it feels like he's taking a rhetorical device and he's applying it to politics somehow. Because in like one of the logical fallacies that you can use intentionally, right? Like a quick tangent, but I actually think logical fallacies are tools that you need to use. You need to look at your audience and say, what logical fallacies will they fall for? And then use those. Like they aren't things to avoid. They're things to know how to use and when to use. And there's one particular one called Gish Gallop. And this is when you're in a debate and you just launch 100 different claims because it's so much easier to make a claim than to back it up or to disprove a claim. So if I just throw 100 at you and say, okay, David, your turn. Now you kind of have to spend all your time going one by one and refuting all 100 of those things. And before you know it, all your time is gone. You never actually got to make your point. And I feel like Trump is kind of doing like a Gish Gallop of economic political theory where he's like, here's 100 things that are going to make you go crazy, and then you spend the next week freaking out and contacting everyone, and then he just goes, oh, never mind. And it's such an interesting device to use it over and over and over again.
I could dig the idea of fallacies being used for an educational means, like not just for the sake of debate like you're describing, but just in the larger context of like our own, like if you go over something again culturally, like just like for your own person, like do you get to a point where you're just not going to fall for that anymore? So like if the public is like, oh, we know this one, will it, do you say,
I don't think so, man. I would say ad hominem is a great example where someone will be like, oh, that's ad hominem, as if it negates that and it does negate. But if you're not trying to make a point, you're trying to win the crowd. And I can say one thing that makes everyone boo you. I literally won the debate, and maybe not on paper, but in terms of the real world and the people were there. If I can just get people to boo you because I'm like, oh yeah, well, you're into that Kabbalah stuff, and I know my audience is like, boo. Like technically I won that particular debate, and everyone goes home thinking that I ran the whole show, even if I never made a great point.
Right. You were going to say something. I think I interrupted you. American Time Machine.
It's all good, but it seems like the best defense against Gish Gallop is bringing up the topic. You know, just educate people right on the spot. Like, okay, this is the concept of Gish Gallop. And basically, yeah, you're better off looking for the true thing in that mesh of bull crap. But yeah, it's like, it's an actual thing. Look it up online.
Look at Mr. Nerd over here getting all nerdy, and then everyone's like, yeah, he's a nerd. And then what are you going to be like? Oh, that's ad hominem now. You know what I mean? Like at a certain point, like
I'm talking about
turned against you.
I appreciate that in regards to debate. Like if you point out and you go, oh, that's just a fallacy. I experience this all the time. I'll catch somebody doing a fallacy. I'll point out the fallacy, whatever it is, no true Scotsman, whatever. That's not going to win me the debate now. What will is it in a large enough timeline on a bigger scale where people literally like have all as a group decided that they believe something which is completely fallacious, and then they have to experience the repercussions of being wrong, and how that at least can, whether on a big scale or a small scale, can get people to the point where it's like now they don't fall for it because they don't want to be wrong, right? Like, you know, and if it becomes so extreme sometimes, it's just like you're just avoiding embarrassment. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like COVID's an example of that, like, or could be potentially like more so in the future, because if like everybody, or even just go back in time, like say like, you know, things that we fell for in the past, like you're talking about DDT, or you're talking about something else people put.
Yeah, DDT, when they'd be like, look how safe it is, I'll put it on my kid's cereal, and then the kid eats it.
Right. And we were given like fallacious arguments for something. Like I think that's even kind of happening now with like fluoride, like where you're like, okay, well, it's not like what are the benefits versus non-benefits, like in a long enough trajectory. You're like, okay, I can see the benefits for teeth. I've heard those arguments. I think they're valid. Like I think most people, 90-something% of people would agree that this is a value for teeth. Swallowing it and how it's going to affect your vital organs, like that's totally a different argument, right? Like and then at a certain point, are we going to get to a place where like maybe we don't need to just like insert this in all the drinking water, you know? Maybe that's not like a good thing. Oh, but in small enough amounts, it's actually no. Like brush your teeth with it. It's okay. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I think that there's examples where we, in a long enough timeline, realize fallacies, like where it gets really like, okay, no, that's stupid.
I think Kurt is 100% correct, though. Like the right way to combat a Gish Gallop type thing is to point it out as you see it and try and inform everybody, and just hope it works. However, those people that get it, they die eventually, and there's no guarantee that their kids and their kids also understand that concept. So it feels like something that's always going to be here, like that we're never going to just evolve to a point where everyone inherently knows what all these logical fallacies are. And in fact, none of these
rhyme. And it twists and it spirals, it rhymes, it doesn't repeat. History cannot repeat, but it does bear a resemblance. And so like I think if you were to back up and look at a long enough timeline, you'd see that there is development occurring. But like it has to be like, so the realizations are so much deeper than the topical level that we treat things in the moment, like say with a debate or something, that it's, I don't know. I just think if you back up and telescope enough on a big enough timeline, you do see improvements and you do see developments, but it's hard to see that if you're looking at any little part, if you know what I mean. Like at this time.